Welcome back to yet another episode of How I Made It Through and our newest addition to our podcast series, Pause for Answers. Answers to questions that people repeatedly ask. What happens to our souls after we die? How can I connect with loved ones who have crossed over? How do I learn how to channel spirit, and what happens in heaven? With our combined experience and years of research, we recognize that between the two of us, we possess a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that we want to share with you. We invite you to tune in and share your questions with us and our How I Made It Through community as we all continue to expand our understanding and learning.
Well, here we are for our second little pause for answers. And again, this is just such a great opportunity to explore some of these questions so many of us have. And the one that we've chosen for today, especially in light of so much suffering around the world, I'm not going to enumerate what it is. We all know, but it's a really human question to say, my God, when I go back home, when I'm in heaven, do I have to come back?
Yeah.
If it's blissful and wonderful, why would I come here on this lower vibrational
Yes.
energy and go through so much suffering? And
Yeah.
yet we continue to reincarnate over and over. But can we say no? And if so, what happens? And why do we continually say yes? So I'll hand it off to you and let's see where we go.
I love this question, Kristin, because it brings up so much. It's true. It's like we are, as we're discovering now, as so many of us are awakening and understanding more about the other side, we are gaining the knowledge that, yeah, we do have more. We've lived, if this isn't our first rodeo, won't be our last, kind of, and that we've had these lives before. And some of us who have done past life regression are like, that last one wasn't so great, like
Yeah,
what what's making me want to come back?
exactly.
And what spirit has shared with me, in my experience, is that we it, our ultimate goal is our um, increase in our conscious level, our consciousness, and that it is that idea of ascension, and that we keep ascending, as we learn more. And I've also been told that we can learn more in heaven, that we don't have to reincarnate. But as you and I were talking before we started to come on, is that when we um, when we do come back to Earth, when we do incarnate here, that the lessons that we learn and the progress that we make is so much greater than the progress that we make in heaven, because as we know, on Earth we have light and dark. We not everything is not perfect, and we go through experiences that we may not particularly enjoy. And when we go home to heaven, that the progress is slower because it is a place of love, and that there is no darkness, per se. So the way we're learning um, is in a different way. I don't even know exactly what that is. I certainly know what it's like here on Earth. So that's what I know about it, and what spirit has told me, that yes, I have the option that everybody does, to say, I don't want to go back. um, I
Yeah.
recently heard somebody who there's a couple of people, but I recently heard somebody who had an NDE, and he was talking about coming down, being he remembers what it was like to come down and to from heaven, after saying, yes, I will come incarnate, and feeling going down through the heaviness of um, of the different our different levels, until
Yeah.
getting down to the earthly one. And in one of his uh, incarnations, he said, I don't want to be here, and he
Mm.
managed to get himself back up because it
That's
was so heavy.
Yeah. So it's so interesting when I think about this and the research I've done and the stories that I've heard. So some of it is conflicting, which is really interesting. So in that story, I really appreciated as he's descending down, he's recognizing he's going from this higher state of love consciousness and,
Mhm.
collective energy that is so high vibration. And as he's descending, it's a whoa, 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 pump the brakes. I don't think I want to do this yet. And at the same time, we also hear that people are lining up on the other
Mhm.
side to come down. And
Yes.
so what I've learned over the years, they are, when you think about it, like kindergarten through, getting a medical degree, there are all these different levels. One is
Mhm.
not better than the other. It's just different. Like you wouldn't say to a kindergartner, why aren't you getting your PhD? It's just different levels of development contingent upon the number of times they've reincarnated and the lives they've contracted to
Mhm.
engage in different lessons. For
Yes.
example, and I'm going to go off in tangents, but I will return to this idea of can you stay in heaven or must you return? Um, but people who you look at, particularly, this again is what I've researched and heard multiple times, and I'm only repeating things I've heard over and over again as stronger data points. But people who show up, and let's say it's a child who has cancer, or let's
Mhm.
say it's someone who has endured a lot of trauma. Often those people are more experienced, shall we say, for lack of a better term. I know you and I have discussed this. You don't call them older souls, but more evolved souls. They say, especially, it can be easy to be very ambitious on the other side. You go, you know what? I really, really want to evolve. I want to really have these experiences to elevate myself. So I'm going to sign up for a highly ambitious life for reasons that can promote the evolution of humanity. So if a child says, I will sign up to live for the first 4 years, and that will be it, perhaps because we are part of larger soul families, it's not just for their soul evolution, but they may be contributing to a doctor who can do research. They may be supporting the person who is their mother in this lifetime in
Mhm.
moving through grief and understanding what generous, all consuming love is. So there are
Yeah.
all these offshoots that it's not just the person who is evolving, but it's their soul family, including the doctors, the researchers, a recipient who might receive a kidney, for example, from their death. All these reasons where they're saying, I will contribute and I want to learn. And I know it will be difficult to do this, but I am stepping in. And then we get to Earth and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with this trauma, with this chaos, with this
Mhm.
just exquisite pain. Why would I do this? Because we have agreed to forget. And you want to say something and then I'll continue.
Yeah, what it's bringing up for me is that we don't decide this on our own.
Yeah.
That we are, as we talk about, being a spiritual being, a soul, a spiritual being. My guide uses spiritual being, so that's why I tend to use that. But where that we, as you said, that we are part of a um, a bigger family in heaven, and that we do have guides, and that our guides, that we are, even in heaven we have guides,
Mhm.
and that the decision is made, not by us alone,
Mhm.
and that there's like this presentation of what, different things, and kind of going through, okay, these are all the things that I've learned so far in all the lives. Oh, I haven't learned this one yet.
Yes. Yeah, so it's almost like a meeting, and it's
Yes.
looking at potential lifetimes and who will be your mother, your father, your circumstances, your gender,
Right.
your body, all the
Mhm.
different qualities that make up being a human being, that it
Mhm.
is very purposeful and it is made in community with guides. What I also know is that people can say, "I'm not ready to go back. I need
Mhm.
to chilly chill for a while," and they will chilly chill for quite a while, and again, the experience of time on the other side, it really doesn't exist in the way that it does here, so,
Right.
that's just mind-boggling, so I don't have words to define that, but that's what I hear over and over again. But then what I hear as well are 2 things. Number 1, they can get a little bored because to your point, if they've been over on the other side in heaven for a very long time, because there isn't the contrast,
Mhm,
because, it's everything is about love and learning, and there are different schools and different specialties, and whatever you can imagine, you can experience if you want to paint or cook or travel, all that, like that one movie with Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come. I
mhm,
often hear that parts of that, other than the hell part, are very true. Like, I think he saw his wife or his daughter, I can't remember, and she looked very different because she wanted to look a certain way, and then she could change and become recognizable to him at any moment. But
mhm,
after spending time, they recognize so many experiences, like if we're watching someone learn how to ride a bike, or we're
mhm,
watching someone learn how to do any experience, watching it is vastly different than experiencing it. And so eventually people will say, okay, I am ready because I'm interested in
mhm,
ascending not just for me, but because I am a derivative or part of source energy, God energy, really all of who I am
mhm,
is committed to contributing to the collective in terms of accumulating these experiences
mhm.
for greater growth, expansion, awakening, and contributing to the whole.
And that is absolutely perfectly said, contributing to the whole, but it is the whole in heaven. It is the whole that we are ascending to, is where and why our decisions are made in groups or in conjunction, um, so that we can, it's so kind of funny, in a whole, so that we can fill all the holes, so that those that are rising, and as you said, how coming down and saying, oh, okay, I'll be here for 4 years, contributing to the growth of those that they leave behind, and
Yes.
helping them have that experience, so that it is very much what you're saying, um, the that we are all trying to ascend, and that we are helping each other in this. And yeah, and it is yeah, I look for, we haven't really gotten to when do I get to say no, kind of part of the
Yeah,
conversation, but
yeah.
the purity of what you said in terms of doing, we we don't make these decisions alone, and we are doing it as we are filling all those holes, all those places that we need. Uh,
Yeah. And I think I did say that people can say no, and they do
yes,
say no until
they
they get
do.
kinda bored, like,
Yes.
"Okay, I've been over here for a
Well,
while."
or they've had, as you've had so many guests on the show, and I know from one of them that shared that she was there. She's like, I'm done. This is really nice here. I'm not coming back. And they're like, okay, you don't have to. But when you do come back, you're going to have to live a life just like the one that you just left. And she,
Yeah, in her NDE, exactly,
yes,
Betty Vidano, Buddha Betty.
yes,
Exactly, so when people have an NDE, they're
yeah,
like, "You're not get this is not get out of jail free, like, either you
yeah,
go back and complete it, or your next life you will have to complete it, but these lessons and the experiences need to
yeah,
happen, and you've already gone 20 some odd years," or she was not
exactly.
present, I can't
Yeah.
remember, "Do you wanna do that over again?" She's like, "Huh, no,
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good, I'll skip."
But and also she did such a great job of explaining how this idea of going down the grocery aisle and picking experiences off, like, okay, I
Yes.
haven't done that one, I'll try that one. I haven't done that one.
Mhm.
Not that that's what we do, but it is
Great
this,
metaphor.
yeah, for deciding that we have there are different things that we haven't done, and that we need to add to our experience for us to continue to ascend and become part of the whole.
Exactly, exactly. So anything else on this topic? I mean,
Mm.
we could talk for a very long time, but I feel like this might have nicely rounded out
Yeah.
the
I
conversation.
think the best thing to know is just that, um, the even though we think the grass is greener on the other side, that there are reasons that we do wanna come back.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's not only for ourself as a spiritual being, but as you said, to so that we all can rise. Um, and that coming back, we just have these amazing experiences. And when we cross, we do get to look at all of it. We get to look at all of them and see them all. So, yeah, I, that's
Yeah.
what, that's what,
Okay.
you know,
Well, then the only thing I have to say is, as our faithful listeners, share your thoughts. What are your questions? What are your experiences? What have you researched? We want to
yeah.
hear. This is part of a collective and a community. So share your thoughts, um, share your likes, your sharing of it. We want to
We love that you're
engage.
with us. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on How I Made It Through.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.